when you walk into a house,
Uh-huh.
okay, like when first thing I walk into doing an inspection, a lot of buyers or real estate agents or whoever, okay, I'm not going to shift the blame, but do some sneaky stuff to get the house sold. And why am I saying sneaky stuff? Because not only is it about furniture placements that we're going to talk about or smells that we're going to talk about, but it's so important that when you go buy a house that you know these tricks that people use. Okay? It's not like my other video that I did about the first things to check when you're doing inspections. Okay, because those are a lot of common sense stuff. This is more about things that you will miss. That's why you need to stay till the end, because the one at the end, almost everybody misses. You really have to be trained. And now, you know that I've done thousands of inspections, okay? I learned over time when I see a pattern, and I do see patterns.
Right.
So we got to talk about this, because when you guys are buying a house, or if you're selling a house, you might pick some of these things like, oh man, I could do that to hide this problem. But if the inspector is good enough, or the real estate agent, like you, when you go into a house, you can probably pick out some of these red flags.
Yeah, because my job is like looking for things specifically that are going to be problems that aren't necessarily taken into consideration. That way, when we make an offer, we can kind of either decide if we're going to incorporate that into the offer structure, or we've laid out a plan. Because we don't just go in willy-nilly making an offer. We lay out a plan of how we're going to attack things and whether we're going to ask for, you know, repairs or concessions or things like that. But I bring that to the buyer's attention, that these are some things that may be an issue during an inspection, whatever the case is on those, and this is how we can overcome it. But then, of course, the seller doesn't always have to do what we ask, so they just have to be prepared.
Yeah, but you know what's really cool? Like my real estate agents that I work with, I mean, it's up to the buyer who they pick for an inspector, but they're willing to learn. It's like, hey, listen, if you're going to walk into a house and you're walking past the electrical panel that's on the wall right there, look at the label. This is Savinius, this is Zinsco, this is a Federal Pacific.
Right.
Because insurance companies don't like those. And they're willing to learn. But there's some real estate agents that, hey, I just want to sell the house.
Right.
You have to admit it. Because the market's changed. Some real estate agents.
Oh, I'm the first to admit that.
Okay. They care about their commission and not, you know.
And those people will eventually be filtered out, and then we'll get back to, you know, real estate professionals. That's what we need, is real estate professionals. Even if you're brand new, be professional.
I'm not just beating up the real estate agents. Some home inspectors are like, well, if I find all these issues with the house, maybe that real estate agent won't refer me out anymore.
Right.
And the way I look at it, too bad. I'm working for the buyer.
Right. And and in my opinion, if the house has too many issues or things that we can't work through, then we move on to the next house. You know what I mean? Think about it. As an agent, just if any agents are watching, think about this. They're your buyers. They trust you. If you break the trust because you have to go show them a few more houses over the next couple of weekends, then they're going to move on from you, potentially. So just think about that. Moving on from a house is not the end of the world. And then
no, it's especially in this market.
Right. And then there's plenty to look at.
All right. So now that you guys subscribed, let's continue. When I first walk into a house, okay, and people are going to, you know, people are going to quote about this. They're going to make comments about this. Fresh paint. When I walk into a house and I feel like, sometimes I walk into a house and the paint is like fresh. Like you have the paint smell. They're like, well, we're selling the house. We had the house painted. You know, it hasn't been painted. We took the pictures off and we painted it. You know what?
So yeah, tell why you think that's bad.
Okay, because I think that paint could cover up things, cosmetics, or like, my problem was with this, okay? I went and the house was freshly painted, and I'm like, all right, they painted it. It was probably dirty, freshened it up, put a neutral color on there. But then I opened up the closet, and there was like literally 10 gallons of kilts, you know, the ones that cover like stains and stuff. So that brings up a red flag for me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so here's why I disagree with this.
Okay.
But I agree with something that you said, because this goes back to having a good inspector. Okay? that knows what they're doing and looks at the big picture, not the little things. So from a real estate sales perspective, you have to look at it as if the house needs to be painted, we're not in the market from 2, 3, 4 years ago. You might be painting your house.
Yeah.
Because if it's dirty, and let's say you moved in and it's a newer construction house, it's got builder grade interior paint on it, you've lived there 5, 6, 7 years, and you've decided to sell your house. Well, you're probably gonna have to paint. No matter how clean you are, those walls are probably a little dirty, dingy, right? Baseboards, doors, walls, probably not your ceiling, but you might have to paint. Now, if you have a good inspector, see, because I recommend this, but if you have a good inspector, they're gonna look at everything.
Yeah.
Let's say it's an older house and they've painted and they have kills. Well, do you have a brand new roof on now?
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, they had roof leaks, so they used kills and they put a brand new roof on, so that makes sense.
It makes sense, but it has to add up. Like,
Yeah.
like I did an inspection 2 weeks ago, and I found kilts again, but it was in the closet, and I put a moisture meter up there, even though it was just painted, and obviously with thermal and everything, but they had a leak there because I could still see it,
Right.
coming through from inside the closet. All right, new rugs in weird spots. Sometimes I go into a house and I'm like, that's a weird spot for a carpet.
Oh, I'm the weird guy who goes into your house if we're looking at it, and I'll lift your rug up to take a peek underneath to see if you're covering a crack. Because I found that a lot. They'll put an area rug somewhere, and I just give it a peek. I want to see, like, are you covering a crack up or something that's odd? Because area rugs are not a very common thing.
Strategic staging, big sectional standing mirrors might not, if like a big piece of furniture or a wall or big mirror is in a spot that doesn't make sense, I will look behind it.
Yeah, just give it a peek. Just be curious.
Be curious. Closed curtains and blinds, okay? What are they? Are they blocking a view or something? Like when I walk in, sometimes they literally would tape the windows or put them in the windows that I can't even see out.
Oh, yeah. So, like, if I'm showing a house, I'm going to open windows and blinds. Not window panes, but I'm going to open the, curtains, try to open the blinds up a little bit because I want you to be able to see. I want a feel of how the house is going to look with natural light. I don't want to just use, the incandescent lights that we have in the house.
Strong air fresheners. You walk into a house and there's an air freshener in every other room and stuff, or like there was a candle burning, a scented candle. They're doing that because they want to. You tell me as a real estate agent if it's more like, it's going to smell like cookies or home, or are they trying to cover something up?
Builders do it.
Yeah, I think it's always.
I think that's it's warm and it's inviting. I wouldn't leave a candle lit and leave the house, but that's just me. That's the fireman in me still. But I wouldn't put too much stock into, they're trying to cover it. Now, I mean, if you've got like those air wick things or whatever they're called, and they're in every room and you can barely breathe in there, that might be, again, kind of pause and think about why are they doing that? Because there might be a reason. So it's back to just be curious.
Okay, discoloration around vents. Okay, soft spots on floors, especially near bathrooms and kitchens.
Yep,
that's a big thing. Okay, in bathrooms, around toilets, literally go in there and walk around there because, rusty water heater pipes, fittings. Go to the water heater and look at that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at the age of the water heater, the age of the air conditioner, the panels. That's all part of the process.
Yeah, if the water heater is old but it's still working, it still might need replacing.
Correct.
If the air conditioner is old but still working, it might still need replacing.
Right, and that's back to being a professional agent as well. You want to look at those things because that's part of your negotiation package. Don't rely, like even on my listings, I have an FAQ sheet and it lists out all the dates and ages of everything that's all the appliances, the air conditioner, the water heater, everything. And we do pre-listing inspections too when we, it's a choice. Obviously the seller doesn't have to, but I do recommend it.
Yeah, and let's talk about structural flaws, okay? Like when we go back to the interiors, paint bubbling, just literally, I know everybody's going to go to the kitchen and the bathrooms, but literally stare at the ceiling, stare at the walls, walk all the way around, and you'll see the stuff that doesn't make sense that it's there. That couch doesn't make sense it's there. A lot of things won't make sense, but you need to find out why. You got to figure out, be like a private investigator. Why would they put that there when it absolutely doesn't make sense? There has to be a reason. But let's go to structural flaws that aren't obvious. Cracks in exterior bricks or stucco. I mean, if you just walk in looking at it head on, you won't see it. you really have to be pretty close sometimes to see those cracks.
Right. Now, there's a difference in cracks, right?
Yeah,
Some
stucco
of them are-
crack
stucco
compared to
cracks
block
are-
stucco. Yeah, stucco cracks are common, but if you go in the garage and it's a block home, or you can tell if it's a block home if the windows are indented a little bit, you know, like, and because it's obviously thicker than wood. See if there's cracks, what's called step cracking. You know?
Significant cracks, and then differential cracking.
See if you can stick like a quarter in there or a dime in
Right.
there or something.
Might
and we
be
go from
worth
there.
some things, and if they're moving a different direction.
Doors won't open and close properly. When you go look, check out a bedroom door, you know, go check out the house, close the bedroom door, see how it closes. If it closes good, you know. Floors that slope. Hey, you know what? I carry marbles. And I have leveling stuff, but sometimes when I walk into a house, like, you know, especially one on a crawl space and something, I literally put some marbles on the floor and they start rolling. I'm bringing out the levels.
If it's, you can feel it too when you walk, that there's sometimes some pitch down. One of my buyers bought a house in St. Pete. It's an older house. It was built in the 20s, and the floors did sag a little bit, you know, but they had an engineer come in and they shored them up because the piers were a little saggy over years. I mean, the house was built in the 20s. Everything was structurally sound, but they did do some work on it, and we got the reports on that. So, but they like that charm too, because some of it's, you know, I don't know if I would like the slope, but that's just me.
True. Okay, nail pops and drywall, looking for those. Visible joints or beams with splits. Creaking, bouncing floors. Like I said, walk all over the place. Cracks where walls meet ceilings. That's kind of important right there.
Right, and if it's extremely common, or if you can see the mud tape, if you can see the tape still, then they just did a really bad job taping the house because they were being lazy. Same thing with nail pops. Nail pops are pretty common in new construction, and it's called a weeping nail, and they usually will put them back in and reskim it, but they do pop up from time to time.
They do. Foundation patches, retrofitting support basements, visible mold or rot in attic framing. Like, we don't expect you to go in the attic when you're just working at home.
No.
But listen, well, like I said this in other videos, when we walk into a house and it's a brand new kitchen, brand new bathrooms, we don't really care. We care about it, we'll inspect it, but we're going right for the electrical, right for the, you know, see if it's galvanized plumbing. We're going right into the attic to see if there's cut trusses or there's open exposed wiring or if there's enough insulation.
Right.
You know, there's so many ways that, you know, some of these people cover so many things up. Like, here's one of the biggest ones, okay? And flippers do this all the time, and I get annoyed at them. They buy a home, and there's exposed wires, it's just from rat feces, just like, it's horrible. The attic is like horrible. So they go to Home Depot, and, you know, they get blown in insulation with the machine. They open up the hatch, and they cover everything by 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it went from being a really, really bad attic with, you know, piping that should be replaced or whatever, to, oh, wow, this attic looks pretty good.
Right.
Who's going to go up there and sweep around? But that's one of the things that people do to throw people off. They're like, well, it's cheaper just to buy, you know, bags of insulation and just cover everything.
Yep.
That's one of the biggest things. When I see brand new insulation up in an attic, so many red flags come up. I actually moved some of it.
Mm-hmm.
And 9 out of 10 times when I move some of the insulation and I look underneath, it's old insulation. It usually has rat or rodent feces, or, you know, because it's
an older house.
It's an older house, or I see some cloth wiring. I see everything, you know, junction boxes and all that stuff. So, I mean, that's probably the biggest red flag in my opinion, because everything else is kind of obvious. Okay, gutters are clogged. Okay, the roof, you can see from the outside and stuff. But one of the biggest cover-ups is attic insulation, when they put the insulation up on the attic. Okay, you know, and the other thing too, you know, like if you're walking through near an electrical panel too, if you hear buzzing, I just had one, literally.
Right.
So I'm like, he goes, you're gonna take the cover off the electrical panel?
You're gonna skip that one.
I said, well, we're going to shut off the main. He's like, why? I said, you hear that buzzing?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's normal. I was like,
That's normal.
It's not normal, okay? because you have to smell, hear,
Use your
and
senses.
use all your senses when you go into the house, and use your gut feeling. But I could keep going, but when you're looking at the house, that's the biggest thing I want to get across. Because I keep running into it.
Right.
9 out of 10 times, they're covering something up. 9 out of 10 times. All right, listen, I did plenty of videos on the things I actually look for, but this video is more about how people hide things. And,
Right.
and it's, paint, rugs, furniture, mirrors,
You name it.
whatever they can do to cover it up, and if it's a flip and then you open up and look underneath the bathroom sinks and you see what's called accordion plumbing, a professional plumber did not install that stuff.
No, and those are things that can be worked through. So don't think that you can't go for the house, but you have to put the entire package together when you're looking at things. That's what the point is. It's a bunch of little things can lead up to big things. While they all may be seemingly small, you have to look at everything.
So anyways, that's today's video. Thanks for watching. Greatly consider subscribing. It really, really does help out the channel. And watch this video over here. I picked it out just for you guys. And remember, if you need a real estate agent anywhere in Tampa, Florida, or anywhere in the United States, my phone number is below, and there's a link below too. And we'll talk to you in the next one. Thanks, and have a great day.
See you on the next video. Thanks for watching.